What it is! How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Bodies, 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 the newest A24 horror comedy coming out in theaters. We're going to talk about all the things. We're going to talk about men too old to be hanging out with teenage girls, talk about the Gen Zs and all that, social media, being middle class. It's going to be a whole thing. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage, and listen on in to the first ones to die.
Hello everyone, welcome to the first ones to die. My name is Jonathan. I don't know why I said that so enthusiastically. I don't think I've ever said the word die so enthusiastically, but yeah, we're the first ones to die. I'm here with our lovely hosts, Alex and Jerome. Alex, how you doing today?
I'm dying.
Yeah, you've had an exhausting weekend.
And it's only Saturday. So, Jerome and I went to Comic-Con Thursday and Friday. I also got my big part of that was I also got to go to the Seahawks versus Bears game. Fantastic. I got to go with my sister. We got club seating, which was way fancier than we were used to. We were not prepared for any of that. We were in the middle of all these Seahawks fans, and we were like, okay, we can't cheer for the Bears too loudly because we have no backup. There's nobody going to help us if they decide to just go. Because the Seahawks were getting their asses kicked. And the third quarter was so bad and so boring. We were like anticipating. I was getting tired because we had just gone to Comic-Con that day. So I was like, maybe we should just leave early. But luckily, Christian was like, no, we're never probably coming back ever.
That's like when we went to that Sounders game in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the Sounders fans in that one section, all Portland fans. And then we had to do the walk of shame because they lost. And then they heckled us.
I will say the Seahawks, yeah, they did. That was kind of weird. It was a weird moment, walking down the street and getting heckled in Portland, and not for my race either. That was the first thing. But we stayed, and the fourth quarter got actually really good, and the Seahawks got to 17 points, so it was only 27-17. Which still lost, but lost with dignity, I feel like.
Right.
And then this morning, or Saturday morning, from when you guys are listening to this, I went kayaking for the first time ever.
How was that experience?
Terrifying. Because I went with a couple of coworkers from my orthopedic department. The person I went into the kayak with didn't know how to swim either. Wasn't good at kayaking. And there were just moments where we were where we just stopped and we just let the waves take us. Like we're in the middle of the lake, and we just put the paddles on down, and we're like, "Do you want to just float here for a minute?"
Like, damn all
like,
this.
Yeah.
Put the paddles down, all right?
Yeah, and the other two people we went with started rowing everywhere else, and we're like, they'll eventually notice we are not behind them anymore, so it's fine. We're all good. But I'm so exhausted. I will not be attending Comic-Con on Sunday or this past Sunday because I'm done. I'm out. The 30s have won. I accepted it. I can't do all that stuff anymore. I can't pack jam a weekend without having a solid day of like just letting my body recover. But all in all, I mean, it's been a fun weekend, and I've had now 2 new experiences that I can say I had, and just both were amazing. Terrifying was this recent one with kayaking because water freaks me out a little bit, but I really wanted to go, and I got wet. There were waves that were really big, and they got in the kayak, and I got wet.
Yeah, that's like a part of kayaking is like you go and get wet. Like you're not gonna get wet.
Yeah, like a little bit. I had to wring out my sweater because the wave literally went. I was like, "Oh, screw this." Yeah, I don't want to ever do it again. It was lovely. I had a good experience, and I love the people I went with. But I'm never ever doing it again. Never.
We do though have to do that big boat, like white water rafting. I think we talked about it.
And I said, and I agreed, but somebody has to put like an Apple tracker on me because if we go overboard, I'm gonna just also like I was mentioning that to them. I'm like, it's fine, but like chances are like I go underwater and I end up somewhere else, or my stupid ass will be like, ooh, that's a pretty flower, and wander off into wherever these rivers are, nature, forest areas. I'm like, somebody has to keep tabs on me because I barely keep tabs on myself. So I will go, but somebody puts a tracker on me, at least for that
All
day.
right. It's done.
But other than that, I am exhausted, but I had a lovely time. And look, my sister-in-law got me a new mug. It's a mushroom.
Hey, oh, look at that.
He's so cute. I love it.
Oh, that's cool.
That is my adventure.
Nice. Sounds like you've had a lovely, lovely last 48 hours. For real. Jerome, how have you been?
Been good. Like Alex said, did Comic-Con for 2 days. It was cool to see all of my, or at least some of my Milestone Initiative friends. Not everybody came, of course, because we're all over the country. But I did get to see Greg Burnham and get his book Tuskegee Heirs. So shout out to him. And also, if you haven't read Tuskegee Heirs, you can order it online. We'll probably put a link in the description so you can pick that up. It's a good book, self-published, really good. And then also I got to run into Julio Anta, who is another friend from the Milestone Initiative as well, who's doing big things. His book Home is doing very well. If you haven't picked it up yet, I have started reading it. It's really good. It's being published through Image, so you can get it at any of your local comic book stores or Barnes and Noble. So, go pick that up if you can. I also saw my teacher, Amy Chu, who's done also amazing things. So it's been great. I had a fun at Comic-Con. Also, we got to see a lot of cool vendors, pick up a lot of back issues. I got a bunch of, hold on, The Question. So I got a lot of reading materials to go through, of Denny O'Neil and Dennis Cowan's, The Question run. At least the first 11 issues anyway. I know they did more than 11, so that's a good start. And then thanks to Alex, got some Ragman issues as well. So a character that I have through this search have found that I guess not enough people know about.
Because it's a man in rags. What superhero is this?
His name is Ragman. He's a mystical superhero. His rags are magical. But yeah, it's so we did that. And that's pretty much it. I haven't really done much else this weekend. this past week.
I do want to thank Jerome publicly because I was supposed to do a photo op with Brendan Fraser on Saturday, but because I had the kayaking thing change up, or it was actually on Saturday, I thought it was going to be on Sunday. I had done the photo op for Saturday, but I changed it last minute to Friday, and Jerome was very nice and helped run with me to where it was and gave me encouraging words when I clearly was dying, trying to even walk normally, and was very patient while I did all my stuff. So again, Jerome, I appreciate you. That was very helpful, and your encouraging words meant a lot as I was literally dying when I finally I had to use my inhaler. I couldn't breathe. I was like, I'm okay. I got really sweaty, and I was very I can't meet him when I'm sweating. But it was very nice. He was very nice. And just I was so happy for that experience.
No, I'm glad we made it on time because we almost didn't make it. At least for the Brendan Fraser one, we almost didn't make it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we got there on time so you could still do that.
Yeah, which I appreciate because that was another thing. So yeah, on Friday I also had to run a crap ton for that photo. And I have such short little legs. It's so very hard. I think you were just walking your normal speed while I was running. I was also thankful he didn't just walk away because when I run like a penguin. I shuffle. My little feet go like this. Because I look ridiculous. But thank you again.
Of course.
And what about you, Jonathan? What exciting things have you done this past week or weekend, or are you just having a good normal day? I was trying to be boring or something.
It's been this past week has been pretty boring. It's my last. You'd be accurate. Yeah, I'm not offended. It's been pretty boring. This upcoming week is my final week before I start rehearsals for the show. I don't think I've said it on here. I said it to you guys, but I don't think I've said it on here. When I'm listening, I'm doing a show, and actually I did say it on here. Never mind. I think I did.
Talk about the show. Either way, go.
Anyway, I'm gonna be doing a show at the Geffen Theater. It's called The Inheritance, and it's gonna be this fall. So if you're in LA and want to check it out, then come see it. It's West Coast premiere. It was on Broadway and it got rave reviews. Won like best play at the Tonys, and it's gonna be in LA. So I'm gonna be doing that. That's gonna take up a lot of my fall. So it's gonna be exciting, and I'm doing a fitting this Thursday. Yeah, so fun stuff. The calm before the storm. Right now,
Absolutely, yeah. I was about to say that's kind of doing rehearsals is like a lot, or it can be a lot at least.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, you know that, but
I was
Right.
I was the only one who wasn't a theater kid here. I was like,
But
I
you
wasn't
have that. You have.
I mean, I wasn't a theater kid. I like did like church theater, but not like real theater. It's not quite the same.
yeah, but
You do have that credit. That one credit.
Oh yes, I played in a zombie in a movie nobody ever saw in a student film. That was it. It's an uncredited credit. But I'm excited for you, Jonathan. This sounds like it's going to be a great opportunity. One, and then two, it sounds like fun. And I have it up on my phone. I was going to read what the play was about because it's called The Inheritance. I don't think I read it yet, so I do have to read it. It's literally one of the 20. If you look at my web browser on my phone, there are 20 tabs open.
Oh, I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
I was like, oh, every time I open a new one, I'm like, oh, I should go back and look at this, see if it's done. No, I keep adding.
Well, what we're going to talk about today, as you probably know from clicking on this podcast, we watched the movie Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. It's the new A24 film. It is about a group of rich 20-somethings. They plan a hurricane party at a remote family mansion, and a party game turns deadly in this fresh and funny look at backstabbing, fake friends, and one party gone very, very wrong. The film stars Amandla Stenberg, Maria Bakalova, Rachel Sennott, Chase Sui Wonders, Pete Davidson, myha'la Harold, Lee Pace, and it's a horror, slasher, satirical comedy film. And basically, how this review is going to work, if this is your first time listening to one of our reviews, we first talk about what we liked about the movie, what we didn't like, our general thoughts. Then we'll warn you and go into spoilers, just in case you haven't seen the movie yet and you just like listening to our voices, which we really appreciate. But, we love to have you involved in the full conversation. So go see the movie if you haven't already. Or if you don't care about spoilers, then just keep on pushing with us. I think, Jerome, I went to you first for your thoughts last time. So I'll go to Alex for her thoughts first.
I immediately wanted them all dead the moment I saw the film. I was waiting for them all to be killed off. I was good with it. There was like not one real likable character, except I guess the main actress, or one of the main actresses, Maria
Bakalova,
who plays B.
Mm-hmm. She was cool. I mildly liked her character. Everybody else needs to die quicker. And you were
die quicker.
And I did. I had been when I saw the preview for this movie. I was like, Lee Pace, what are you doing in there? Like, was it? And you told me
it was a topic of conversation for like months. Because we had been talking about the movie, and you were like, "What is Lee?" And I was curious too.
I think it's so weird now that Lee Pace is in a movie with Pete Davidson. Like, having that be a fact is weird to me now. And I think I think it's just because I don't think Pete Davidson is at the level of Lee Pace. But then again, a lot of these actresses and actors aren't at the level of Lee Pace.
I mean, hey, at least he's like made it off of, because a lot of, whenever the SNL alum try to make their way into the movie scene, it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, but he's still playing the same character.
So is every other SNL alum. All of them play the same characters. Leslie Jones is Leslie Jones in every movie she's ever been in, ever. She has never been anything
That's
different.
Fair. That's a fair comment.
Why are we gonna drag Leslie Jones now?
I'm just saying, it's true.
Hey, respect the
It's
woman.
the same thing with Kate McKinnon too. Kate McKinnon plays the weird
Kate
girl in
McKinnon gotta
everything
get
she's in.
Those were the only
She's
ones
great,
holding up
but
SNL
it's because
for a
she's
long
good
time.
at it. Listen, it's
No,
what
I
you're,
think actually
you
Kate
play to your
McKinnon
strengths.
is pretty
and
versatile.
do what you do. Like
Kate
when you
McKinnon's
that.
good
All
at,
right,
like,
that's
doing,
fair.
Like accents and like pretending to be other people, but when it's like an original character, I will give you that she plays it to her own. Either way, the movie was I enjoyed it. Yeah, I was already pretty. I think it was a decent movie. Was it my favorite? No. Am I gonna rewatch it? No. But I didn't hate it when I was watching it. So I guess that's all the review I have for now.
That's a very fair, assessment of a movie. That's the most even assessment of a movie I've ever heard of. Like, I didn't hate it. And that's it. That's my opinion.
Hey,
I
we
didn't
found out
hate
something
it.
Alex didn't hate.
Hey,
What about
Jerome? Oh,
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. You're good.
Jerome, what did you think of it?
I think this movie is all right. It's very okay. I like and mainly because the reason I feel that way is because I feel like the satire was good. I liked a lot of the jokes and commentary on the Gen Z generation, like how especially the way they use all of the sounding board phrases that has been invented with this current generation of kids. Like triggered, you're silencing me. Even though it wasn't said, I'm sure if they could find a way to throw it in there, whitewashing, like all of those different types of very politically correct things. So I think the commentary there was really good, but I didn't think it was mean spirited. I don't think it was the filmmakers weren't trying to be like, oh, I hate the people who use this terminology or anything like that. I think it was just to poke fun and just to be like, it's kind of silly. So I thought that was good. Where the movie loses me is that some of the horror elements got boring for me after a while. And it's mainly because of the setting. This being a dark house where the only source of light is everyone's flashlights. So I was like, after a while. And then also while the satire was good, there's one scene in here where it just feels like the jokes just go on, like the conversation's going on forever. And it was funny at first, and then it just starts becoming like, okay, can we move on to the next scene? Like, I'm ready to go do something else. And yeah, and then on top of that, the way this movie ends for me is very lackluster for me, where I was not that I was expecting something bombastic and big, just that I expected to feel some finality to it. And the way this movie ends, it just feels like it kind of doesn't end in a bang, it ends in a whimper. But overall though, I like Alex said, it's not like this movie is awful or anything, or that those things maybe hate this movie. It's just the fact of it was all right. I think this is very much a middle of the road movie for me, where I'm if somebody wanted to watch it and I was in the room, I'd be like, sure, I'll watch it, but I'm not going to be super excited about it.
So for me, I thought this movie was great. I loved this movie. I knew
you would, because this is your movie. This is your type of film. The whole time I was watching it, I was like, Jonathan loves this movie. I don't even need to hear him say that to know that for a fact.
There's a special episode coming, what Alex dislikes and what Jonathan loves.
That episode is going to be too long. Jonathan loves everything.
Let's go back to our Witcher review. Anyway,
Rude.
Let's go back to our Arcane review. Actually, I didn't.
You didn't watch it.
Yeah, you didn't watch Arcane. You didn't have an opinion.
But
that wasn't enough.
I watched.
That was enough of an opinion. Clearly,
exactly.
You go on, Jonathan.
Anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I had such a fun time with it. I think the environment that I watched it in also affected it as well, because I didn't realize that AMC had these like premiere theaters in some of their locations that were like only for the AMC Plus Stubs members, and they had like nice seats. All of the rows were individual. It felt like I was watching the movie like by myself, but then all of a sudden I would just hear the audience laugh at certain points, and it kind of threw me off. So it kind of felt like I was watching like a sitcom. But that's all beside the point. About the movie itself, I loved the humor in it. Jerome, I know the scene that you're talking about that felt like it was really long. I felt like it wasn't long enough. I felt the length of time that was put into that scene, and I was like, this is perfect. This is so good. It's clever. I felt like I was me, and I felt like also the audience was enjoying that scene as well, because we were just dying during that part, but we'll get into that during spoilers. Maria Bakalova, in terms of the cast, Maria Bakalova, she blew up from the Borat subsequent movie film, and I saw her in that, but this is the first time I'm actually seeing her in a scripted, like a fully scripted film, and she was great in this. I feel like Rachel Sennott, if that's how you pronounce her name, she is a star. She was hilarious in this film. All of her like mannerisms, and you could tell she was just like the what's it called? The comic relief.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. I'll get more into the cast later, but I enjoyed it. There were a few parts that we can get into in spoilers where I'm like, that was maybe a little bit predictable. But other than that, I just had a really fun time with this film, and that's what that's what I appreciate out of the media that I consume. If I have a fun time with it, then I'll give it a high score. So now we'll go into spoilers.
That's true. Malcolm and Marie also got a high score. Just want you to.
Yeah, but the difference is that review we recorded hours after I had watched the film. It's been a full 2 weeks since I've watched this film. I've sat on it. I've read other reviews of people. I've seen other people talk about this movie, and I still hold this opinion. So that is the difference between this and Malcolm and Marie.
Well,
Fair.
that's good at least. Like, all right, you're holding it a little more. You got a little time to let it air out.
All right. Is there any pressing matter that anybody wants to get into regarding spoilers for this movie?
Yeah, let's get to that scene now. All right, that scene was long as hell. And it was funny at first. It really was. It's not that the joke stopped. It's just the fact of like my interest stopped. And you know what it is? It's because I'm not in that generation. It's like, so like me personally. So it's like that generation of like the constant political correctness, like even if it's for a joke, it's like eventually it gets annoying for me, where I'm just like, all right, can we move on? Like I'm ready to go. But that's not to say that the scene was bad. It just, for me personally, it felt like it was dragging on with the same joke of like these like kids who think they're so woke, and because they're in their 20s but they think they know so much. It got old after a while. But that being said, everyone acting wise does a great job in it. They do a great job delivering their lines. They sound very very convincing. They did a great job. So it's not like the scene was bad. It just for me just felt like it was really long. For the same joke virtually. And especially because a lot of it was expository information of just like, let me tell you about your parents and all this stuff. And let me tell you about this one time this girl cheated on you. And let me tell you about also this thing and how she hates your pot. And I was like, all right, that's a lot of exposition you're just dumping on me right now in this, like the beginning of this third act of this film.
Y'all, did any of the podcast jokes hit home for any
Oh,
of
yeah,
y'all?
no, they got
Of course
personal.
they did. Are you kidding me?
And she's like, she listens to your podcast. And then she's like, it's hard to gain a following. I was like, all right. I didn't want to agree with this character.
I
but
felt
kinda do.
seen. I felt so seen the whole time. I was just like, you know what, though? She's not wrong. Like, I know the experience.
Takes work. Yeah, no, those jokes were like personal. I felt personally like attacked. But like with that scene for me, it was like I kept getting annoyed when they kept using those like words because I hear them all the time now. I mean, like not even Gen Z people use them. Everybody uses them because it's just a lingo nowadays. But to hear them said like rapidly in succession like that, I was like, dear God, talk like a normal person. It's okay not to use like
Sounds like a Twitter page come to life.
yeah. I think that's all it was for me was like I get the conversation because I could see that happening in a high tension. You just let everything out about how everybody hates you. Be like, well, this true. Then it's like, oh, and I would just be on the couch going, oh, all the time. But I think it was just a rapid succession, and all of it was so close together that I was like, I get using like slang in just normal conversation, but this is also a dire situation. Why are you? Do people? And it made me wonder. I'm like, do people act like that when they're in a situation like this? Do they still use these like slang or lingo words? And it's like, I don't. I get weirdly proper when I'm angry. Become like an English gentleman out of nowhere. So I was like, is this what normal people do? Also, but like my favorite thing came out of that. I mean, my favorite joke came out of that scene too. When she was like, you have to stop this narrative of rags to riches. When she was talking to Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
When she was talking to Jordan, who's played by myha'la
pretty good.
Merrill, she's like, your parents teach at a university. She's like, it's public. And I just like lost my shit because I was like, that's so funny because like the amount of people I have seen, at least on TikTok alone, who are like, oh yeah, I never realized I grew up poor, and then they're like, we lived in the same neighborhood. You weren't poor. They're like, well, I just didn't have a lot of stuff. It's like, so what? You still weren't poor. You lived in a well-off neighborhood and went to a good school. You're fine. And I genuinely see that all the time. I think it was even a trend on TikTok for a little, oh, show us your childhood home. And people are like, look how sad we were. And it's like, you lived in a 2-story home. There was a point in my life I shared a bedroom with everybody. So like, calm down. But that was my favorite joke out of basically the whole movie. Some of it got kind of funny. Some of it was like here and there for me. Like I said, it kind of hit on this weird even level where it was funny, and it was nice to see that they're mocking Gen Z now instead of millennials. It's their time to get mocked all over movies and TV. So
Well,
I'm
because
good with that.
they're I don't know. Like I could say this because we're all millennials. The Gen Z the Gen Z generation is so like if you go by the internet, Gen Z generation is so like we are the most important people. Like we are the most important generation because we're making change. We're making strides by changing our Instagram page, like by putting a circle on our Facebook page, that like on our Facebook picture. That we're making a difference. I sent I helped out Black Lives Matter. See, look, hashtag Black Lives Matter, praying hands. Like that was my contribution to the scene, like to the movement.
For me, it's a lot like Gen Z does everything like recording. And I'm like, they don't understand the struggle of what it was like before like YouTube and shit like that, or social media, where like if you wanted to do something, you had to either make it on the local news or get a TV show from like MTV, like Jackass. I actually where it's like that's what people are doing. You can get it on YouTube and you can find it on TikTok now. So much easier. These kids doing stupid pranks. But it's like, no, before we had like Jackass and we had all these horrible shows on MTV where they had to put a little warning. Do not do this, or at least don't sue us. It's like now just like everything is online and it's just like constantly, which I think that might be why Gen Z is so much easier to mock now. Before they just called millennials like lazy and entitled. It was like, all right, whatever. I still have to work my 3 jobs. So you can talk shit, but I like have to go. With Gen Z, like, so they're just always on. A lot of them are still online. I know most. I don't know about most. I don't hang out.
You know
with
what
any
though?
Gen Zs.
It's a thing because it is a bit unfair. Because I'm like, millennials were just as stupid as the Gen Z kids. The only difference is that Gen Z has a camera on them at all times to film how stupid they are. Millennials, we got to hide it because social media didn't exist yet for a long period of our childhoods until we got older, so, where we were old enough to be like, well, I don't think I need to film that. I don't think I need to film me doing this dance real quick. I don't think I need to film me on this wall twerking. I don't think I need to film me lighting myself on fire. That doesn't seem like a smart idea.
I feel like twerking did come into the millennial
oh, it did
landscape at
but
some
now
point.
it's getting insane. You got people twerking at funerals. That's a real video. You know what I mean? Like it's gone to a whole other levels now that even we have limits.
That's so. What is your commentary?
So bodies.
All right, that's our old man and women commentary for the year. Back to this movie. Pete Davidson is all right. He's not.
That I will agree with.
Like he doesn't really stand out in this movie.
Wish, as I was leaving the theater, I heard somebody talking to his friend, and he was like, that one scene where Pete Davidson is talking to homegirl in the office, that was unnecessary. That was just a ploy for him to showcase, his comedy and everything. And I kind of agree with that. I almost wish they would have. I'm torn because I wish they would have chosen someone. I almost wish they would have chosen someone else, but that payoff at the end, I really enjoyed.
Now that was
where
funny.
You find out how I think he was the perfect person to kind of represent that.
Yeah,
but,
when I said the ending was lackluster for me, it wasn't the Pete Davidson thing. I think was hilarious. I thought that was super funny, especially given the night's events. Only to find out that it was an accident. Like nobody killed anybody.
So basically, if you haven't watched the movie and are just listening to us, Pete Davidson's character dies. He has a katana, a sword or something.
He has it looks
they called it a katana though, but it looks almost like a machete.
It's more, I forget what that type of sword is called. And I want to say it's a kukri, but kukris are not that long. They're very short. So I think it's actually something different than a kukri.
Anyway,
they end up finding that he's dead, and that turns into a whole bunch of accusations and killing everyone, basically everyone besides Sophie and B, Amandla and Maria Bakalova, dies in the movie because of it. But it turns out through a draft in his phone. He was making a TikTok and he killed himself with the sword. So I thought that was I thought
dumbest
it was
way
kind of
possible too, because you see him flicking it the right way, then he's flicking it to himself. You're like, oh my god! We literally heard the entire audience behind us go like, oh my god, no, no.
Yeah, I think even I went. I figured it out.
Because you know what's gonna happen. You're just like oh no.
Although I did enjoy the scene because she has his iPhone, and she has to use the face to
unlock
open his phone. So she just so I give respect to Pete Davidson for not laughing when she does that. So he kept a straight face. It was hilarious. I get what you're meaning about Pete Davidson not they could have chosen somebody else and they would have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Pete Davidson fits that asshole. That character so well. Pete Davidson fits that asshole character so well that they're just like, all right.
It's just you did.
I paused. I know I paused. I was trying to take a breath because I was also thinking about that office scene So I don't know if they purposely did it or to throw people off, or if I just thought more of it. The picture he takes of his black eye and the way he zooms in, I was almost prepared to see somebody in the background or see a clue to who the killer is.
Oh.
That was my anticipation. And a couple other moments where I'm like, all right, this is kind of like, it feels like it might be important to remember later. It was not. These things were never used again.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of bugged me a little bit because it may have just been to throw the audience off, which is like, all right, you use the cliche things. But then also it's like, well, that office scene really wasn't necessary then. And it was, they didn't really talk about anything because she's trying to bring up the issue at hand. He's like doing jokes and it's like, didn't you pull her into this office to have a conversation with her? So
right.
There's also that too.
I also figured he would die early. I think maybe it was just that residual.
Davidson. Don't you remember Suicide Squad?
Exactly. I think it was that residual thought in my head from Suicide Squad. I just had, because spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Suicide Squad, he dies within the first. The Suicide Squad. Sorry, he dies within the first.
Listen, that's the only
5
one
minutes.
anybody's talking about these days. All right, that's the only one anyone cares about. I feel like we could just say Suicide Squad and people know exactly what we're talking.
Call the title with the right name. I did applaud the movie for killing off the 2 white males first. That was appreciated.
To be fair, Lee Pace got himself killed. All right, if there's a whole group of women around you with knives and swords, you don't keep playing around. All right, clearly something's going down. Like
after this movie, well, actually before and after.
I mean,
this
not all of
movie,
them are white, but you know what I'm saying.
I have come to appreciate Lee Pace and the fact that he's just, if you have looked at Twitter and at all and looked at Lee Pace, he's just doing his thing, posing, like looking very handsome and just strutting his stuff. And I appreciate that he's gotten into that era of his life, I guess.
He's welcoming, he's gracefully welcoming like middle age.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of actors won't sometimes, and then it looks like, oh, this is really what you're doing. This is where we're going. But he's done it so gracefully.
I appreciate his character being in this movie though, because it is a commentary on those millennial people trying to hang out with Gen Z people, or even older than that. Like, because I've tried to hang out with Gen Z generation people. And we just don't connect, even though we're not that far apart in like years. It's just, it really does feel like a different era, and it's because of technology. Really, it's like the way they're advancing based off of, their access to social media, their access to the internet, all that stuff. It's way different than what we had. So it's like they're at a different mental space. And so it's interesting that he's kind of that character where he's like, he doesn't quite get them. Like, and you can tell, like he tries to connect with them and have fun, but he doesn't quite get how they operate, like how they do certain things and stuff. And he never really can discern when they're messing with him and when they're being serious. Cause to him, he's probably like, you're all kids to me. But to them, to like, as far as they're concerned, they're like, no, we're adults. Like we are grown. So he was interesting. It was interesting to have his character as a part of the group.
No, and I agree with that. I've hung out with people who are like 22, 21, and I feel like I'm such a downer around them. They're much more optimistic than me. And I always feel bad because I'm like, I'll say something and be like, oh, I just brought the mood down, my bad. And I feel like a lot of millennials are just a little bit darker. Millennials have gone through quite a bit, so we're just a little darker in our conversation than than Gen Z. They try to be more positive, and I respect them for that. But I think that was a clear cut, and it was openly explained very quickly why Lee Pace was there. It's almost like they knew people are going to be questioning this through the whole movie, so let's just now. Yeah, I was like, what the hell, Lee Pace? I'm like, I like you so much, but like, what are you doing? For a second, I thought he was entering like his Snoop Dogg era, and I say Snoop Dogg era because Snoop Dogg has like fulfilled his music career, and now that it's like somebody, I saw this I think on Tumblr once. Somebody said Snoop Dogg fulfilled his main quest, which was music. Now this man is just doing side quests because he's hanging out with like Martha Stewart. He's got a wine, but he's also, coaching his son's, I think, football team. He has a cooking show sometimes. He did the Olympics with Kevin Hart. He does random movies that are ridiculous, and this man's just like do whatever he wants. Like,
I wanted to be a vampire hunter. What can I say?
Yeah, he's just like cool. You got a random movie for me? Let's go. So like I was like, all right, maybe Lee Pace is entering that era.
That's like a fulfilled career. You get to experience a little bit of everything.
And what I love is that Snoop Dogg does take it seriously. It's never just like, hee, I'm here. He's like, all right, let's do this. Let's get down to business. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it.
With charisma and personality.
And knowledge of the situation he is entering, which is really cool. So yeah. And I thought Lee Pace was like entering that era where I'm like, are you going to just like, you've done weird stuff and you've done indie films and like, that's cool. But like, this is really kind of weird with all the age range. But like I said, they did explain it pretty fast because like people were questioning, I was questioning, so they knew they probably had to answer right off the bat.
Right. I thought, I was going to mention myha'la Harold, who plays Jordan.
I thought she was the killer for the longest time. Like,
that's what they made her look like. Yeah.
Right. She was the obvious one. So I know her from Industry on HBO, which is a great show. Season 2 is airing right now on HBO Max, and it's a great show. Although I don't understand a lot of it because it's about like the stock market in England. Yeah, it's like about like trading in the stock market in London. And so there's a lot of jargon and terminology that I don't get, but it's a very good show. But anyways, she stars in that. But she was really good in this. I enjoyed her in this, and she did get on my nerves. Her character did get on my nerves, because she just kept like
talking
and pulling out guns on people for no reason. And just
although
like
I told Alex this when I left the movie theater, I feel like Sophie deserved to be shot just once, because this girl is pointing a gun at you, telling you to stop moving, and she is steady walking up on her with the gun. I'm like, you gotta shoot her just to prove a point, because she's just steady like walking. I'm like, what is wrong with you? There is a person pointing a gun that is loaded, and you know it is, at you. Stop moving. And she's telling you to stop. Don't move, because you could get shot. She's already killed one person tonight. She's willing to kill again, probably.
She shot that girl twice. She shot not Emma's character.
Yeah, she did shoot her on purpose one time. The second time was just in the struggle,
Alex,
but even still.
I will say, if we're ever in a situation, guys, the way Jordan behaves, I will kind of act like that. I go into like a tactical mindset. So like, I'm not the murderer, but like I will behave like a tactical person.
It's okay, Jonathan. We'll just assume she's the murderer and we'll make through. We'll figure it out
swear
together.
to God.
Are we building an alliance right now?
Whatever. I told Jerome when the movie had ended, I'm like, oh, they can all just blame that one girl and be like, she murdered everybody and like clear it up nice. And Jerome's like,
to the police?
Just
I feel
Jordan
like
killed everybody.
That's unnecessary. We literally have a bunch of evidence, and all of the evidence points to like each single crime scene explains itself. There's blood on the stairs to explain how Emma died. We have the video to explain how Pete Davidson died. Lee Pace was unfortunate, but at least we could say it was in self-defense, because there's a witness, because Sophie and B are still alive. Friggin' Alice was accidentally shot by Jordan, and you can argue that was self-defense too, because Jordan was like, about to probably kill Sophie. So it's like every single death can be explained in some way or has proof and evidence to prove we did not do this.
By the way, I saw Alice's death coming from a mile away when they were right before they even started struggling for that gun. I just knew somebody was going to get shot, and it was probably going to be her because all of the other not main characters. And when I mean not main characters, I mean anybody
Alice
other
was
than
destined
Sophie
to
or
die
Pete.
the second she was in there. I'm like, you're the clearly like not smart character. You're destined to die at some point.
But I was hoping that she would last. I was hoping that she would last long because of her jokes.
She was funny.
but
I'll give her
yeah.
that.
I mean, she did last
Yeah.
last pretty long. Yeah,
I liked
Mhm.
her
She did make
better than most of the other characters. I won't lie. She annoyed me. Don't get me wrong. Alice like drove me crazy, but like she was less. I don't want to say horrible than everybody else because she just said whatever.
she seemed genuinely sweet, like a genuinely
Mm.
good, nice person. And normally
Naive.
it
but-
normally is the ones who are like the most not normal, but like the weird ones that are the nicest ones. Like she's just like quirky and weird, but
yeah,
she's
she wants you to
genuine.
join in. And she's like, I want you to join in this conversation. I want you to, which is nice. I like that when somebody's more like, hey, just come be with us and like, let's be friends. And the other ones were so standoffish. The character Emma made everything about herself. And then Jordan was
She
just
annoyed me.
horrible. Yeah.
I was happy when she.
Did
I
she
don't wanna
make you
say I
mad
was
that
happy
she
when
was she was just doing actors a disservice as people who you want in your friend group because they
Oh,
might
yeah,
just
'cause
fake
they
cry their way out of anything? Have you ever done that, Jonathan? You ever fake cried your way out of a situation?
No,
See?
I can.
Or
say
you have, and you're just acting now.
I'm about to say he's acting now. He's lying. He's totally done that multiple times.
We've seen you up on stage. We know how well you can act.
First of all, when was the last time either of you saw me cry?
That's because you
don't
saved
think-
that for your other friend group out in LA. You know, because we'll be on to you. We'll catch on to it. We know you too well.
I probably walk away. I'm not comfortable with people crying in front of me.
You'd
It's
be like,
very
you ever seen
awkward.
that? You ever seen that Family Guy episode where it's Brian's sad and he's crying and Peter's just like, oh, Brian, stop it, stop crying, stop it, stop crying.
You recall when you got your car stolen, and my response was, "Well, at least it's a nice night." Like that's the response you should give when somebody gets their car stolen. At least it's a nice night. You're not like in the rain getting your car stolen and like stepping on the glass of the window or anything like that. Like clearly I got the comforting skills of my mother. It's not a good thing. I try. I will admit I do try. But I will say the wrong thing always. So, but yeah, I hate it. I think Emma's character out of everybody.
You said at least it's a nice.
At least I try, and that's all I'm gonna do with that. It's not the best comments I make. It's the comments that come first to my head. But like I'm trying to be nice. But I was just gonna say with Emma's character, like she was my favorite death because she annoyed me so much.
Yeah, with her, like.
Especially because
Yeah.
it's clear that she did not want to be with him. Like she kept asking, "Where's Max?" I'm like, "Who cares? There's a damn hurricane outside. If anything, you should be worried that Max is even still alive."
That's true too. And like she just everything. Like also when she kissed Sophie in the middle of the hallway too. Like
Yeah, that was really weird. It's just like, I'm glad Sophie was like, "What is the matter with you? I am not in the mood to get down right now. Also, my girlfriend's here."
Right.
Although-
I could.
sorry, go ahead. No, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say. Well, I was gonna transition to Sophie, but if you had something else to say about Emma.
No, I was just gonna say I guess for plot. I was like, why do these characters keep separating? They were like, oh, we need to all stay in one place, and it's like you all keep going to different rooms in a
Right.
giant mansion.
In the dark. Y'all can't
Mhm.
which filming wise that also annoyed me because I was like, man, can y'all thought of everything to bring except some damn candles?
Also, it felt like the layout of that house was not correct.
Yeah,
like there
It was a
I
little bit
felt that
confusing to
too.
gauge what the layout of the house was.
Okay,
It
okay.
was.
I feel like everything was not set up right.
I don't think we got the full. It didn't feel like it was a big house until you saw them in like the racquetball court or whatever.
Yeah.
it didn't. You couldn't really gauge how big the house was. I don't think.
And then really quick before we go to Sophie, Alice, I will say right before Emma's death, she was the only one looking for B too. That's another like thing I liked about her. She's like talking to Sophie and she's like, "Where's your girlfriend?" And then she actually goes and searches out for B and is trying to find her and like help her out. I was like, "Oh, so Alice is cool and she will like."
Although B was weird. Like, why the hell did you put on? What the hell did you put on makeup for? This is not the time.
Yeah, she was acting sketchy.
Looking nice. What is wrong with you?
She was acting sketchy at certain points.
And
I don't think that was really explained why she was acting so sketchy.
Yeah,
it was,
not
or at
really.
least explained well. But with Sophie, I like Amandla Stenberg like, but I feel like the character of Sophie was a little boring in the sense that Sophie was like the straight man. Yeah. Sophie, ironically, like she's a gay character, but like she's the straight man. You know, like the normal character.
I get you.
And
Alex only made that mistake one time. You gotta let her live it down.
So I felt like the character of Sophie wasn't as dynamic as she could have been. But yeah.
I think with Sophie's character, what annoyed me most was that ignoring the group chat thing. Because there is a person in my life that does that. They ignore a group text I am in with them, and then they'll come back and then be like, "Oh, so are we doing this?" I was like, Did you not know? Like, we explained everything about why it's canceled or why we're going or all this stuff, and then they want it re-explained to them. And then they're like, "Oh, I was watching the group chat. Then why did you not know if it was canceled or not?"
It's the most first world problem conversation
It
I've ever heard Alex have.
Hey, I struggle a lot growing up. I deserve to have first world problems. I deserve to complain about my coffee and my iPhone.
I did see a TikTok today about a woman complaining about all the reasons why she hates her Tesla. So that
okay, I'm not there, but I am upset because Starbucks is now closing at 4:00 on Sundays. So there, I can complain about that. I can't do
Listen,
Tesla.
Chick-fil-A is closed from sun up to sundown on Sunday. So if they can do it,
They're
I
also
don't mind Starbucks doing it.
homophobic, so I don't care.
That's true, but listen, the Lord's chicken is still being served to gay people anyway.
Well, speaking of homophobic and the character of Sophie, so this circles.
Hold on. I genuinely have to respect your transition of conversation. That was very good, Jonathan. I do applaud you for that. You kept the theme and you kept it moving.
I'm just saying, people at the that's the corporate side of Chick-fil-A, the literal side of Chick-fil-A at the restaurant. They could care less. They're like, look, you got money? Here, come on through the drive-through, get you some of this chicken. I don't care. Like, you go get a 6-piece anyway.
Lesbian.
Sophie's
a lesbian.
She ain't going to Chick-fil-A. Is what you're saying.
I was gonna bring up right before we got on. Jerome was reading an article, and I had saw this. I'd seen this yesterday, and since then I've been reading everyone's takes on it and watching people react to it on TikTok and whatever. Basically, so Bodies came out, and there was a reviewer named Lena Wilson, a reviewer for the New York Times, who wrote a review about it. It was a negative review. She didn't like it.
What?
Yeah, and she wrote, one of the lines she wrote in it was that it was a 95-minute advertisement for cleavage. And take into account Lena Wilson is a lesbian. And she got a DM, a direct message from Amandla Stenberg, who is also gay. And I believe goes by they them pronouns.
I thought they were bi, not gay.
I think they've come out as gay.
I'll look it up real quick. Go on with the story.
Anyway, so Amandla sent a DM to Lena saying something along the lines of, and pardon the language, if maybe like your review was great, maybe if you hadn't been staring at my tits the whole time, you could have enjoyed the movie. And so Lena
Damn.
Wilson, and Lena Wilson took that personally and responded saying sorry, something, and then blocked Amandla. And then Lena posted it on Twitter saying something along the lines of like calling Amandla homophobic, even though Amandla is part of the LGBT plus community.
They are gay. And there's a literal article where they say, "Yep, I'm gay, not bi or pan."
Okay.
Because
I saw one article that said they were bi, but that could have been an old one or misinformation. Like,
well, which might be why. She does go by she pronouns. She is why they went, "Yep, I'm gay, not bi or pan." Probably because it was an old interview where somebody made that mistake once.
Yeah. And then Lena basically put out a video, a TikTok video, because people were apparently dragging her on Twitter. Then Lena put out a TikTok video.
Well, saying, because like yes, there's like a lot of the girls in this, which is majority of the cast is women.
But there's no cleavage.
And well, there is because they
most cleavage in this movie. The most cleavage in this movie is from Lee Pace. The most cleavage in this movie is from Lee Pace.
That is true too. Okay, all right. So I agree with Amandla.
But anyway,
real quick, I agree with her. She was just wearing a tank top, and she's very well endowed. I would show a lot of cleavage if I just wear a tank top. It is natural for women who have bigger chests to end up showing more cleavage. We have to be really careful about what we wear. There are outfits I have in my closet. You literally tape them or safety pin because they will just pop open. Fits everywhere else except that little area. So I think it was uncalled for the critic to say that. And then she calling her homophobic for stating like, hey, maybe don't stare at my chest, because she would absolutely say that to a man as well if he made that
right
comment.
Exactly. People were saying that as well, and that was basically not even the half of it. Lena put up a TikTok video after she got dragged on Twitter, running to TikTok hoping that people would come to her rescue, saying that I got this DM and I'm not going to take this from this person who has more power than me, who has more social power than me, and basically insinuated that she was bullying her, even though it was a direct message and you're the one that shared it. And Amandla, in a video follow-up, like series of Instagram videos, said that they were joking. Like they took it as they were trying to be funny and like cute about the review. They didn't take it as offensive. She went to explain that, because I am bustier, like this is naturally how it's going to be. And I've had received comments on that since I was a teenager, since I've been in the industry.
That's what I was going to say. It was like you got both Rachel and Amandla both wore tank tops in the movie. So naturally that was just the way they looked, but that wasn't the focus of their character or their role in the film. Was their sexuality. I
can understand why the critic may have said something like that, because there were scenes I'm like, well, this isn't necessary. You're just trying to, see two girls kissing. Like the big opening scene was not really needed.
Yeah, it dragged on for a long time.
Right, so it's like a lot for me too, but like that was my main focus.
I walked into the movie like 1 minute late. So
then you missed it.
You didn't get the full makeout sesh.
Like they showed the straight tongues and everything, and I was disgusted. But yeah, I agree with Amandla. Yeah,
Amandla.
Yeah, because again, being a busty woman, and we make jokes about it all the time because we've had to. Most busty women get that way when they're young. So we have to make jokes about it because it's a frustrating situation at times. I make jokes about it with you guys, being like, hey, these get me free drinks. I will wear cleavage and like shit like that. Or I will tease my sister-in-law because she's not as well endowed, and I'm like, I'll make jokes about it. It's just what you do. And the fact that she's like, oh, it's too much cleavage. That was your focal point of this movie? That one person had like maybe their tank top was a little lower? Like there were so many other things you could have complained about this movie. But you complained about one actress and her cleavage. That was it. That was the main. I can understand where she made that joke where she's, and I feel like it was a joke too. Like, hey, maybe don't stare at my cleavage then. Look anywhere else then. There are plenty of other horrible stuff in that film that you could have talked about. So, yeah.
And the thing about the situation for me, it like that the cleavage thing was annoying, but it wasn't so much that, it was the fact that Lena, the reviewer, she kept dragging it on as if she was getting
she
bullied
just,
by
like,
this
let it
and
go.
Right. And it was this, as people have pointed out and said it better than I possibly could have. She claimed that Amandla has more social power than her, but she's a white woman who writes for the New York Times. She has social power, especially when you're trying to bring this attention to light when nobody would have known about the situation otherwise, and you are using this to victimize yourself. Doesn't sit right with me. Doesn't leave a good taste.
More than that, also you're an adult. Like, what's it matter if a 20-something-year-old girl doesn't agree with your review? Like, you're a reviewer. That's gonna happen regardless.
Exactly. She can criticize, but she can't take the criticism of her criticizing somebody else.
What's it matter? If they don't like your review, they don't like your review. I'm sure there are things I've said on here in regards to reviews that if the actual stars of that movie or TV show watch it, they would not agree with. But that's fine.
I literally say I hate Tom Cruise's face. Like, off the bat. That is clearly just insulting his general looks. And yeah, I'm sure if he heard me and I said it directly to his face, he's not going to be pleased. He would be like, what the hell?
I feel like my face is normal. God damn it.
What the hell is this like random person on the internet who doesn't know me? But I also saw, there's also, this thing of like, she is a white woman at an esteemed press, and she's trying to make out like she was getting bullied, basically presenting the black girl as an aggressive person when she wasn't. She said this comment, she's like, that was it. She didn't attack her personally. She didn't go after her looks. She didn't say anything about her actual writing. She didn't, make personal comments or try to deflect. She was just like, hey, maybe you could have watched the movie better if you just didn't stare at my chest. That was it. She never made a true insult to her being lesbian, because I would say that to anybody. Hey, maybe don't stare at the chest too much. So yeah, she made it bigger than it was, and you are right, because it was a private DM, and she could have just like let it go and been like, oh yeah, like she didn't like you didn't like her movie, so move on. Nobody likes everything. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And since then, she has turned off her comments on like everything and hasn't.
Oh, she
posted.
Probably had to.
And she's blocked
for now.
She's protected her tweets.
It would be best for them to just be quiet anyway, just to save some face for a little bit.
I'm waiting for that apology video now.
Right.
The one she'll post for 24 hours, but still find a way to blame the other person. And then when people are like, "This isn't a real apology," she'll take it down.
I'm sorry that they were offended by what I said, but I still stand by what I said. I'm just keeping it real with y'all anyway.
No. I wasn't I know all of them were like lying to each other. But I also don't know why, when you're trying to get your parents to take you back, like from cutting you off and all this stuff, why would you bring your new girlfriend up there? When you keep abandoning her with other people, clearly it wasn't for emotional support. And it's like, you're trying to win back these friends, and you're trying to get one to literally talk to your parents, and then you bring up this stranger with you, and it's like, this feels like you're complexing a situation. which again, it's the whole point of the plot, but also it doesn't really make sense either. And like, she should have reached out to them, unless her phone had the same number. She could have she said she reached out privately to him. Why would she still not just reach out privately? In a group like that, everybody's gonna know everything.
Although B was like, I don't know. I'm still circling back to B was weird, right? Like, I'm not just making that up.
There were many things that she did that just didn't make sense, especially when everybody's already sketched out by you. It doesn't matter if they're unjustly or unfairly sketched out by you. They're still sketched out by you. And right now you're a suspect. So to be doing weird things to make you even more of a suspect is just not smart.
I will say, I think her character got weirder because of the people she was around. And she was almost like appearing normal at times, but then she was around the people. I was like, oh, no, that's kind of weird. But I'm like, is it? So I think her character was weird, and then it got weirder just because she was so out of place with the other characters that were created. She was created to be around. So I like I said, I was cool with all of them dying. I think the first scene, I just turned to Jerome. I'm like, they need to all die now.
Also, how did that phone at the end, how did that survive like the storm and
well, it just laid
the
there.
Battery
it
life?
Was there in the mud. Now, granted, my phone does that too, where as long as you're not on it, it is built to, like, when it hits a certain like I think when it hits like 10%, it's built to automatically go into battery power, like battery saver mode. So that way it'll stay charged for as long as possible. So as long as it survived the night, it would still have charge for at least a little bit.
It would have not survived the night because it was probably freezing out there because of the storm. And there's a temperature like regulator in the phones that if it gets too cold, it just shuts off completely. Unless it's on a regulated power source. Also, like, my phone has touched snow and it's freaked out. So I don't know how hurricane, If anything, TikTok would have definitely been like, your video's been saved to draft. It would not just be up on the screen ready to go.
Well, that's just movie stuff, because we don't have time to watch them like go into TikTok and find the whole thing. They're like, look, the movie's got to end. So we're just doing
That's
this.
I do appreciate they kept it only at 95 minutes.
It was shorter than I
quick.
expected.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a bottle film, so it's like it's good to have that very short runtime with those type of films.
I was also wondering about the drinking games. I've never been in a drinking game where my friends slap me.
I mean, slap the taste out your mouth too. Like, it's not just a light smack. It's a fight. It's a almost make you want to fight somebody smack.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Well, have you played Bodies, Jonathan?
No, ever. I've never. I didn't know it was a game until this movie.
Oh, it's just you said you forgot about that part. I thought you were meaning like.
Oh no, with the slapping.
Before. Got it.
Oh no. I forgot about that part when I got slapped when I played Bodies.
Well, just that's a rule of the game, I guess. That's I guess.
No, I think they just drank and slapped each other.
Yeah, I had assumed that was separate from the game. I thought that was just a pre-game.
No, that's a part of the game. You gotta get smacked first, and then we play.
No, I think it was just pre-game. Because I've seen other.
So you have a reason to kill somebody because they slapped you.
I mean, also I mean.
Remember that time you smacked the taste out my mouth? It's time now, sucker.
It was justified. Also, the game itself, Bodies. You turn off all the lights, and then somebody tries to touch you in the dark.
Yeah, I didn't really get the game. Was it just me? I didn't really get the point.
They turn. Yeah, so one person's a murderer. Turn off all the lights. One person gets touched, and they like pretend to be dead. Turn back all the lights, and they got to figure out who was killed. But if they find out the one they sent to execution wasn't the murderer, they have to turn off the lights again. Those two people are dead, and just keep going till another person dies.
But I'm like, wouldn't it be easy to determine who the killer was based on where they were in relation to where the person
No, because it's
died?
all
You know,
pitch black. You don't know where anybody is.
oh,
That's-
that's assuming it's completely. Yeah, they
Yeah.
had to make it. You know, for movie purposes, they had to
They had to
brighten
put a
it
little
up.
I will say, like, that is a game I would never be willing to play with anybody. Like, because
Because I know. Have you ever
'cause-
played Mafia?
I haven't played it, but I've heard it's similar in like the
It's a
way
similar
the way
concept.
people like similar concept and the way people like turn on each other real quick.
look, I was barely okay with 7-Up Heads Up. Like, even there, when somebody tried to put my thumb down, I was like, "Don't touch me."
But that's the game. Like, what are they supposed to do?
I don't. If you are gonna put a hand on me, not like violently or anything, but if you're gonna touch me in any manner, even though like pat on the shoulder, I need some warning, visual warning. Like, you need to make eye contact with me or something. I need to know who's doing it. The thought of like somebody like doing that in the dark,
That's not the
picture,
point of the game. The point of the game
Which
is you're
is
not
why I say I
supposed to
can't
know who
play
it
it.
is.
which it says why I can't play it. And what is Mafia?
It's basically the same as Bodies, but you're just sitting down, and there's like a host or whatever. I forget what they're called, but there's a host, and they say everybody close their eyes. One person is like, I forget the roles. One person's the killer. One person's the like bounty hunter or whatever, and then everybody has like a role. And then they say, all right, the killer, shoot your target. And then the angel or whatever, like you get to save someone. And if they save the person that the person kills, then they don't die or something like that. I forget the
Isn't that
exact
like just
rules.
a murder mystery like party kind of thing?
I mean,
Kind-
it's basically
it's-
like Among Us, but as a like in-person game as opposed to like on your phone or computer. Like, it's, you know, same thing.
Right.
Kind of like
where
where
turn on
like,
you guys really is.
in fact, Werewolf is the same way too, which is funny why
That's what
he mentions it in
that's
the
the
movie is Werewolf.
that's the game that I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking of Mafia. I'm thinking of Werewolf.
Yeah, Werewolf
that's
is the
game.
same thing. Where there's the bounty hunter. There's like Werewolf gets convoluted because there's a lot of roles in Werewolf. At least it can
Mhm.
be. It doesn't have to be. You can just play normal Werewolf where it's one person's the werewolf, everybody else is regular people.
Right.
I've lived very different lives than you guys.
I think I've only
I
played
mean,
it like
I've
once.
never played
I've-
Werewolf.
I've-
I just
I've
know
seen-
of the game.
I've seen people play it more.
Yeah, there you go.
myself. Yeah.
That
Um,
felt a little defensive from both of you, but it's okay. I
No,
love you
for
both. I love
real.
you both for who you are.
Hey,
It's okay.
hey, I was
What
a
you
theater
guys do in
kid.
your
We
spare
had
time.
cast parties. We literally had cast parties.
That's your
Four on a
defense.
Couch. Have you ever
That's
played Four on a Couch? Four on a Couch is a good game.
Okay, we'll have this
It's-
conversation a little bit. All the games I missed out, apparently.
But anyway, the party games. I liked that fake out when Lee Pace, when Greg, he got killed in the game, but everybody's like, wait, Greg,
Oh yeah.
Greg.
Yeah, I thought it was
Greg,
crazy.
this
I was
isn't
like, we're
funny.
starting now, and also that makes
I
sense. I was
know.
like, yeah, Greg would die first, of course. I mean, he's the only one who
Mhm.
doesn't belong here.
But that was a good fake out.
I mean, do any of them really belong there? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they do. They at least they're all in the same age group. They all know each other.
Yeah, but they're all terrible. Yeah.
and I
that
thought it was
actually-
funny when Pete Davidson, was like, I know how to get him. Then he just
Puts some
hits him
cold
with
beer
the-
in his nuts.
That must have been a shocker. I wonder if it was actually cold and poorly paced if it was.
He'll be fine. He'll live.
He probably had a cup.
I'm gonna move on from this conversation.
I'm just thinking logistically. He probably did. When
No,
they
you're
filmed.
not wrong, but just like when Jerome threw the topic over to me, I'm gonna leave that topic with you guys, respectfully. Certain topics should stay with certain people, and that's okay. Last character we should talk about is Max.
Why?
even
Max
though-
didn't do anything.
Max, no, because it's funny because Max actually played a big role in this movie. His character, because of the events of the day before, why all the characters were really like upset and hating each other, and the aggression was so high was because what happened the day before, and what Max did. And then he nonchalantly shows up again at the end.
Right. I thought at some point they were gonna do the cop out, and Max was gonna be
the killer
and causing all of.
I thought that same thing, but I was
even though we had never met him,
I was like, "There's no way they're gonna do that because that would be so stupid." If like, yeah, who was the killer? This character you've never met, so you would not have guessed that he was the killer.
Yeah. What? Hey, he's been in Shrill. Yeah, which I
he's actually Connor O'Malley, who plays Max. He's the husband or boyfriend something of A.D. Bryant, who is who from SNL.
Cool.
And Shrill.
You had a guest star on Shrill, right?
Not a guest star. I was in the background of a couple episodes.
Hey, I'm just saying. My mom immediately texted me being like, "I see Jonathan. Is he in this?" Which you hadn't even told me. I think this was the project you were like, "Oh, I might be getting an extra position on, but I can't tell you yet because I don't know if I'm allowed to do it yet." I think that was one of the ones. There was one you were in where you couldn't tell me, but you like told me in every other detail. And then I think I forgot about it, and then my mom's like, "Hey, I'm watching the show Shrill. Guess who I see in the background?" But his character, the name of his character at least, was the reason everybody was high with aggression and like hated each other extra, or couldn't pretend not to hate each other at the moment. And was Jordan and Max together?
No, I think it was like there was implied that Emma, because Max revealed that he loved Emma, and that's why.
Well, yeah, but like the way Jordan.
Oh yeah, I guess Jordan was the only single one.
But Jordan had hooked up with Sophie. That's why.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that might have just been why she was angry.
Yeah, she was angry because I'm sure she assumed that her and Sophie were gonna be like all good, and then it's like then you show up with this new girl.
Okay, yeah, I could for a while I was like, okay, was Jordan and Max together, and then all that happened, and then that's why she was really angry. But no, that makes sense that she was probably expecting to end up with Sophie. But okay, yeah, no, that makes more sense. I got it now. But with all these characters, I mean, they're all terrible. Although Max I guess wasn't. No, he was terrible.
He didn't get a chance to be terrible because he just showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, confessing you love your friend's girlfriend is a kind of a bad move. Being on shrooms or not, don't do that. If you're going to do it privately. Or go to therapy.
Also, yeah. That's a weird thing.
All of them needed therapy. Although, one of the characters, Alice, was getting therapy, I think.
Yeah.
That's why she was the nice one. She was genuine. Mm-hmm. She was genuine. Like, she may have been, like, weird, but she was genuinely, like, nice. Like, she was just trying to be cool. And, even though she had a
fun time,
even though she really had a problem with wanting to say, "I told you so." It's just like I told you it wasn't Greg. Now's not the time. All right. Now's not the time. There's a dead girl here. God dang it.
I won't lie. I'm a little guilty of that. I love to tell people I told you so.
Even in stressful situations?
Yeah, I will do it. I don't mean to be mean, but there is such a euphoria you get when you're like, I told you so. Really? Like, things are falling apart? I'm just saying. Like, had you just listened to me, you can ask my sister. I do that crap all the time. It is not appropriate in the situation, but I kind of connect with Alice on that. You just want the point to come across. I was right.
I'm telling you, I told you we didn't have to kill Lee Pace.
A lot of the stuff they did in that film, none of them had to do.
Well, it's true.
I knew he was gonna die, though.
Because
I knew he was gonna die.
I know they were scared that they were like had Burnham. Although that was funny when they're like, I mean, he was a vet. It's like, what? Yeah, he was a vet in the war. He was a veterinarian's assistant. I was like, y'all don't even listen to your friend. Y'all, I'm sure she said it that way too, and y'all just heard the vet part and then just ran with it after that.
Which veterinary assistants, shameless plug here, is Monica's job and they are the ones who do the podcast Cafe with Strangers, where they interact with people, Latin people from different backgrounds who grew up in the Pacific Northwest. Right now, they are currently recording in LA around San Diego. Check out their podcast. It's very good and very informative and fun to listen to. But yeah, that was a really good joke that they pulled at the last minute. And I was like, that's interesting too. Because you say the word vet and it really, your mind jumps to either veteran or like veterinarian. I usually think of veterinarian because I have a cat.
I think of veteran, and I'm sure that's what they were hoping the audience would immediately think in their heads.
Well, they said he was like immediately off the bat too when they were introducing everybody. They're like, oh, he was in the military. So they said in the military.
They did say like they thought he was in Afghanistan or Iraq or something.
And then when they came down to the conversation, he was in Afghanistan or Iraq. No, he was a veterinarian assistant. And I will give this movie. I will give it to this movie. They had funny little jokes like that throughout the film where it was clever. There were clever jokes hiding about in this movie. Altogether, like semi-funny, but like the individual jokes that you caught in that moment were like hilarious. Like with you were upper middle class, so the one person who's like rags to riches just because she wasn't rich. And it's like, your parents work at a university, they're professors. Yeah, in public. And it's just like, that was like, I'm like, that's a clever joke there, which, really tickled me. So this movie actually does make a lot of clever jokes. And I can give credit to that. That's where I think the movie holds up the most compared to, honestly, what's going on with the rest of the film when it sometimes just gets really, like, unneeded Gen Z style. But then again, I don't actually hang out with too many Gen Z, so they may be actually like this.
I mean, it was
behind
I
doors.
think the commentary was apt, and and again, it's like despite my complaining about Gen Z culture in the beginning, like I think it's a thing. It's not every generation is gonna have their thing. Every generation is gonna have their like thing that defines them. So it's like like I'm just being an old person about it, but like the fact of the matter is, it's like there's nothing wrong with that. I think this movie just pokes a little fun at kids being kids, because when we were in our early 20s, we did dumb shit too. So it's just like it's no different than these kids. Like even just the way they date, where it's like at the beginning of this movie, Sophie tells B like, "Yeah, I love you," and she's like, "You don't have to say it back, but like I love you," and B looks weird, and I was like, all right, I guess that's a weird relationship. And then when they ask her like, how long you and Sophie been together? Oh, 6 weeks. 6 weeks? No wonder she looked at you that way. Yeah, what do you mean you're in love with her? You've only been together a month. It's like,
also the same with Greg and Alice. Like, all right, we're going on a getaway together. You're gonna meet everybody. How long have you been together? 2 weeks. It's like, good lord, there's 3-date minimum or something. I don't know how dating really works. Like, I avoid ever thinking about dating.
I mean, you gotta gauge it. Like, you can't just like go on like this vacation with like a person you've only been dating for like a month. That's something more like, unless you that person is like, you've known, like they've been a friend, so they've been around for a while. You just haven't been dating, and now you guys are dating. But we do know who this person is. Like, that's different. Yeah. But like, if you just met this person, none of us know who they are, and you're just bringing them to like a vacation getaway in the middle of nowhere where we have no access to the outside world. I don't know about that. It's a little sketchy.
Yeah, especially a hurricane party. Where when a hurricane's happening, you got to shelter in place with that person. You don't know how long you might have to be in quarantine, be like sheltered with them.
You slipped quarantine.
But I mean, it could turn into a quarantine. You don't know what diseases they have.
But that's true. People were like doing like, I'm gonna quarantine with this person, and like I knew some people who like moved. They're like, oh, I'm gonna go quarantine with my best friend, but she lives in a different state, so we're gonna do it together because it's not gonna be that bad. You are trapped in a house with somebody for originally it was supposed to only be 2 weeks.
Remember that? Remember when we were making, like, they were making plans? Like, all right, the quarantine's only going to be a few days. It's going to be A-okay. So we still going on bowling next week, right? And just making plans. And then,
Yeah. They're like, it's fine. It's just 2 weeks vacation. Not a big deal. I still had to go to work.
Then 2 years later. Just still.
2 years later, I still have somebody coming into my medical building being like, these don't work. Just put on the damn mask.
Right, I'm not in the mood.
Your ideology. I don't care. I want to get you checked in. See the doctor. Complain to the doctor. I genuinely don't care. I say put on the mask. Put on the mask. You don't want to put on a mask? Get out. That's it. No sympathy. I don't want to hear. There was a guy who gave me this long spiel about it, and I just kept typing. He's like, what? You don't have anything to say? I'm like, I have no comment. He's like, well, you should have a comment. I'm like, sir, I have to answer 36 emails soon. I have no comment for this. And I went back to typing, and he just went and sat down in the lobby. I'm like, I don't care. Just put on the damn mask because the doctors say put on the mask. That's it. And I'm also at the lowest level of the totem pole. You think I have any power? You think I can say, hey, you don't have to do it? It affects anything? No. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Good Lord. Anyway, after that ramble, final thoughts?
Yes. I'll go first. No, I'll go last.
No, you go
Alex,
first. Go
You go first. You love this
last.
movie. You're doing good. Go for it.
Well, I was going to end on a positive note. But anyway, I really liked this movie. I enjoyed it. I had a great time. Even 2 weeks later, I still have great recall of this movie, and the moments that I didn't remember of the movie were fun to reminisce about. The cast, I think, did really well. I think it was very well cast. So shout out to the casting director. Casting directors don't get enough of their props, and I think the casting director
all-star
did a great job.
right now for casting director is either Sarah Haley Finn or Sarah Halley Finn, but she's the casting director for all the Marvel movies. Dynamite casting director. Really good.
Who was the casting director for this? If I can find it within a couple seconds. Casting by Jodie Angstrich and Laura Rosenthal. So good job to you both. Except maybe Pete Davidson was maybe, but then again, like we mentioned,
just need every base.
You know what it is though? It's not that the casting was bad. It's just that Pete Davidson did what Pete Davidson does in every movie. Be that very smug character who thinks he's God's gift to the earth. But that's who his character's supposed to be. So it's not like he did a bad job. It's just that there's a lot of actors that's their role. That's what they do. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also shout out to myha'la Harold, who is also going to be in Leave the World Behind probably next year on Netflix. I'm really looking forward to that. If you checked out our 2023 or 2022 expectations video, you'll see I talked about that. It's based on a book, and I'm very excited for that film with Mahershala Ali and Julia Roberts and her. What else? And Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke's in the movie. Anyway,
watch Black Phone.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought
the movie.
I thought the humor was very good. And Rachel Sennott, she killed it with her role. On maybe the somewhat negative side, I'd say that there were a couple moments that were predictable, mainly the moment where Alice dies. I saw that struggle and that death coming from a couple miles away. This was a fun movie. I definitely watch it again. I was considering watching it again today before the podcast just so I can have a refresher, but I didn't end up doing it. And yeah, I really liked this movie.
What's your letter grade?
Oh, that's right. I'm going to give it an A.
Solid.
I'm going to give this movie an A.
Solid.
Okay. What about you, Jerome?
I think this movie is pretty, like I said, pretty okay. But not in a bad way. I don't want it to come off like I hate this movie or anything, or that I think it's nothing special, because I think it is great at what it does best. It is great when it's dealing with the satire, when it's doing great things with these interesting characters who are from, so ingrained in our current like kind of internet culture today, with the way they talk and the way they interact with one another and stuff. I mean, I think like heck, when the title screen comes on, you have these two girls who just go from this like impassionate makeout session to they get in the car and now they're both texting on their phones like feverishly, like even though they're this close to each other. And it's like that's the world we live in today, especially for a lot of people in the age range of a lot of these of the characters, the main characters of the story. So it's like the satire of this movie is really sharp, really on point. I think that was great. A lot of the jokes really landed and were really funny, but a lot of the subtle commentary was also really interesting and done well. For me, I just feel like there were times where, for the sake of jokes, the movie started to drag for me, dialogue wise. Also, I feel like there's like we talked about it earlier, some characters we didn't really feel like we got to get a lot from them as far as like who they are, because we had to jump right into the action of the movie with all the kills and whatnot. But that being said, that doesn't really bother me. That's just more just something I noticed. Overall, I would give this movie probably a C, like C plus. I think it's like an alright movie, and if you like satirical films, especially horror comedy films, I think this would be a fun time to check out and watch and just chill with it.
And your letter grade?
I said C plus.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
See,
that might have been when
you're just like Alice's friends. You don't listen when I talk. Like I told you, he was a veterinarian.
I mean, in all fairness, sometimes you say a lot about a movie. You have the same complaint that we didn't get enough to see the certain character.
No,
so in all
slightly
fairness,
different.
That seems to be a constant complaint. Me personally, like I said, it wasn't a bad movie. I didn't hate it. It's not going to be my favorite one. I will give credit that they had very clever and witty jokes in there. All the characters annoyed me. I wanted them all dead. So, which is weirdly kind of nice too, because in a lot of horror films or dark comedies, you always have the really likable characters. You have the characters you want. Oh, I want them to survive. Mm-hmm. But all these characters were horrible to each other, and the way. Even Sophie and B being in a relationship, you didn't want them to survive either, because both had lied to each other. One had cheated, one had lied about her personal life.
I was waiting for that to come up, by the way, because we did find the panties, but she never confronts her about it. It's like, I found this girl's underwear. I know you're lying to me.
Yeah, I thought that too, but she's like, I want to see your text. I was like, well, you have other evidence. But... So that's what I was like, okay, there was nothing that really made you want one of these characters to survive. Other than Alice, but then Alice kept running her mouth, and it was like, shush, for 5 minutes, and maybe you can become a likable character.
I hate to say it, but she has a podcast. She was never going to stop talking.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that joke. I won't let you bring me into that. So that being said, again, I don't hate this movie. I don't love it. If I'm at home and somebody's like, hey, do you want to watch it? And I got nothing else to watch. Yes. Again, but it's not something I'm really going to seek out or really look at again. I will give this movie a B, just because I think it was more clever. After, sitting on it for a minute, I'm like, all right, this was clever. And the satire they used worked really well with the film. So I think a B is solid for them.
Nice. Well, did you see Bodies, Bodies, Bodies? Let us know what you think if you're listening to this, watching us on YouTube. Give us some feedback. What did you think of our review? We won't post you on TikTok and call you out like Lena Wilson, but we'll... I
might if I had a couple puffs.
So just be warned.
Yeah.
Yes. Let us know what you think. Follow us on all the social medias at The First Ones to Die. You can also email us, firstones2die@gmail.com. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe. Go ahead and give us some comments as well. We'd love to know your thoughts. If you're listening to us on your podcast listening platform, go ahead and give us 5 stars. Give us a review. We would love that. We'd love to know that you're listening, and an appearance by Cheddar. If you're watching the YouTube,
It wouldn't be an episode if Cheddar didn't appear. Just in
exactly.
He's got a lot to say. Can you not rub against the mic? It's good for the audio. Thank you.
You can follow me at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please. Jerome, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Not Jerome Rhett on Instagram, as well as at RoboZoom Media and at Jerome_the_show. See other creative stuff I'm working on. Also, if you want to find all types of extra, my nose. You want to find some extra content that you can't get on the audio streaming platforms from the First Ones to Die, check out our YouTube channel. You can see all types of stuff, like video versions of all of our podcasts, gaming videos, vlog videos, mini reviews, book reviews, all types of stuff. So go on over there and check that out. And also be on the lookout on our Instagram if you've and other social medias for when we post next time we're doing any Twitch streams, if we're doing any. We're going to start doing more of those. So be on the lookout for that too. Cheddar, tell us where people can find you.
It's okay. I'll talk. You just keep rubbing yourself on my things. So you can find both of us at Alex and Nobody on TikTok and on Instagram. Cool. And then on TikTok, you can also find the First Ones to Die, where I post little clips. So if you just want to get a feel of the podcast, there'll be little videos there. God. And comments that I make about movies. I usually let everybody know what we're watching next too. So that's also a good way to see what's coming up. And yeah, that's it for me, at least.
All right. We'll see you all next week with something. I don't think we've determined what yet, but we'll see y'all next week.
We'll
We'll
figure
have
it
to
out.
look at the Google Calendar.
Oh my God, that was
Yes.
also a good joke too. He's like, it takes a lot of work on the podcast. You gotta have a Google Calendar. I was like, oh my God, we have one of those.
This is hitting
I
close to home.
feel so seen. Right? I feel so called out.
That was the only part in the movie where we felt seen and we could connect. But all right, but everybody have a good night, day, morning, or whenever you're listening.
Yes. We'll
Peace.
see you. Bye.
Bye.